Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again with the update for the Facebreaker Crit Infernal Blow Berserker Manly McMahon build that goes around just pretty much one-tapping everything in existence, and we did our best to make some extremely fun maps throughout the past few days. As you can see in these next few clips, they're like double beyonded, sextanted, influenced sort of maps, and that means a lot of beyonders are going to spawn and packs are going to be huge. In some cases, they're so big that once you explode them, they will lag the shit out of your game, but it's immensely fun and satisfying to do with Infernal Blow while using Awakened Melee Splash, which gives you just a little bit more area. And at this point of the character, I have more or less figured out the entire gearing of the system and how it's kind of supposed to work well enough in the end game to be a playable character. As a Berserker Abyssus character, it was a little bit of a challenge because you have to, well, reduce the huge amount of damage you're going to be taking somehow, and in the end it really wasn't physical damage that was getting us killed in any of these situations, because with enough endurance charges, armor, fortify, good leech and whatever, it seems to all work out pretty well against physical damage, and I'm fairly tanky even against all this stuff. It's just some of the extremely melee unfriendly fights out there, from the Guardians, the Cirrus Awakener himself, and some of the metamorphs that kind of get you killed. Not so much the melee or the physical damage and attacks, but that's why we went all the way up to almost 7k life, and the character in the end really isn't that harsh on the gear requirements or things you need. Just a few specific uniques that weren't terribly expensive to begin with, but do allow you to actually make a crit Facebreaker build. And in this case, we're kind of locked into Infernal Blow, that you could definitely respec a bit and be more something like Cyclone, because that could well get you into some deeper end game a bit easier, since Cyclone is such a mobile ability and has lots of little hits, as opposed to Facebreakers with Infernal Blow, which is slow as fuck and then has one big hit every now and again, and that you really rely upon critting, really rely upon getting the job done. And if it doesn't, that's when you get into a bit of trouble. But you can see these huge packs once you're using Melee Splash paired with Ancestral Call. It should trigger everything to be like infernally blowed, so that when it dies it will explode for a bunch of life, and as such everything in a pack will die quite reliably. And there's just a lot of stuff continuously spawning here in this case, so there's a lot of stuff to continuously explode all at once. Once you want real single target damage, you do sub out the Melee Splash and the Ancestral Call, and then we have some really big chunky crits, but we are extraordinarily melee at that point because there's no Ancestral Call, and you have a garbage weapon range as an unarmed build, so you have to be right on top of the enemy, as you'll see in the Cirrus fight just a little bit later, to get any damage in whatsoever. You have to be right next to them, and these fights are not melee friendly at all. So even though I've made a melee build, and it's something you can definitely copy and still have some pretty good success with, it's so much worse to be melee for these new fights than it is to be ranged or a spellcaster, and it's something you kind of just have to overcome, accept the fact that it's going to be much worse, but still potentially fun and doable, and that's how melee can be played these days without feeling too bad about it. You can't dwell on the fact that it's going to be better elsewhere, you just get in there and do it. And likewise for some metamorphs are just going to be extremely unfriendly to melee, but you try your best to build into some level of tankiness and kill things before they kill you. That's essentially the strategy, and I'm not sure I could recommend employing that strategy if you're going to take your business over to hardcore, for example, because, well, yeah, a lot of the time you're just praying that you get your damage in before they get their damage in, and most of the time it works out. Some of the times they are pretty tanky metamorphs, and you do have to go into your single target setup. Most of the time I'm just taking out Melee Splash and using another single target gem instead. And you can see with a couple of these Guardian or Conqueror fights that it's just so kind of not suited towards melee, especially melee of the real nature like this. Lots of single upfront in your face hits. that it just becomes pretty uncomfortable. This guy in particular seems like a dumb fight, just lots of shotgunning attacks that are hard to avoid if you're like up front and pigeonholed into certain areas, and we still survive, and I could do every single one of them deathless, but it was kind of RNG at times, and most of the time there'd be a death involved. Likewise with this guy, he's very much just mechanics based, pretty damn easy to avoid, but as a melee you just aren't allowed to attack him a lot of times, and you just can't do anything. You just have to run around for a bit. But you can see that the hits, the crits, the ruthless procs are so chunky that once you do get your damage in, you almost always guarantee that whatever you're attacking is going to be dying pretty quickly, and that's kind of how it has to be, since you very rarely get any windows of opportunity for attacking these endgame bosses. And I do take plenty of damage, I do fuck it up plenty of times, but we've built defensively enough that it still works, even as a Berserker and Abyssus character. And I'll just go over a few of the little changes that have happened, and then give us our first Cirrus kill at level 8 Awakening. Now, I won't go over everything again, as a lot of it was covered in the last video, but I will mention that UsedAllSixPortals did live up to his name a couple of times. I ended up killing Cirrus 3 times, I think, on Awakening level 8, and 2 of them were pretty clean runs. One of them was a brick, and it just didn't work out too well, because I'm still kind of shit at the fight, and, well, this is just not ideal as a killing ability for such a boss fight. In any case, gear's kind of fine-tuned. I tried to make as much life as possible everywhere. As a matter of fact, I don't think the gear really changed since the last video, except for maybe the belt, I think. Get a belt with reduced flask charges used, which does help you just sustain your flasks a little bit, and then chuck a onslaught and accuracy jewel in the middle, so that you can get your accuracy up quite high, since it is tough to do on a Facebreaker character, and then some onslaught as I started to run a Taste of Hate instead. So we're almost capped on accuracy, did have to max out precision, got mine vialed into a level 21 even, and on top of that, the passive tree has progressed quite a lot. I've gone all the way up to Avatar of Fire, which gave us quite a bit more damage, and converted whatever I had left into pure fire. So I'm a pure fire build at this point, and that serves for Taste of Hate too, because Taste of Hate will also give us a little bit of fire damage from that converted cold. I went up and grabbed Spiritual Aid so that you'd get a bit more accuracy at the same time as damage, and went in and got Divine Wrath, Divine Fury, and dropped these little nodes here, but you could still easily justify 1, 2, 3 points if you want more damage, or if your accuracy is good enough and you don't need that, for example. But besides that, I think the tree is basically the same, just a lot of life everywhere you can get, and trying to min-max the damage nodes. So by all means, check out the path of building, see what the biggest damage nodes are for your build or for your setup, and maybe you don't need as much accuracy, maybe you need more, maybe you could use a bit more fire damage or crit multi or something like that. But other than that, the build is pretty much as it was before. The end game setup here is Ancestral Call, added fire, Fire Pen, Melee Fizz, and Infernal Blow, and then our 6th link is either Ellie Damage with Attacks or Awakened Melee Splash, whichever one you go for. The Awakened versions of these gems are basically, at this level, they're just level 20 gems, and they weren't very expensive, but I figured I may as well start leveling and buy some of these gems, and Melee Splash gives you a bit more area, but the level 1s versus the level 20s are basically the same thing. It's only once they get to level 5 that you actually see some true benefit from them. Can get an Awakened Ancestral Call, but I think it's kind of unnecessary. You already get plenty of extra attacks this way, and yeah, you just swap around for single target as you need to. Ruthless, and that's just pure single target damage there, but you become very, very melee when you do that, so be careful of that. And as well as that, my current setup here doesn't have any room on the bar, but we do put Val Molten Shell on a secondary swap. I pop Val Molten Shell in really tough situations, or before I pop a Metamorph, and as well as that, you can run Molten Shell on your move, and then whenever you move, Molten Shell will trigger as it's on cooldown. But Careful with that, it can get you stuck every now and again when trying to talk to a master or being in town, but for the most part, that's how I've been playing, and Val Molten Shell as a really big defensive button whenever you need it. That's basically it for the character there, guys. Hope you enjoyed watching this one, playing along with it, or just seeing what a extremely melee character can do. I will give you the Cirrus fight. This is my first attempt at level 8 Awakened Cirrus. I wasn't too hopeful for how it was going to go, but it ended up being not too bad, and overall I think the fight is just mostly about being able to outplay it rather than having the best possible character for it. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Oh god. What if I turn it up a bit so I can hear things? There's just no way. I'm gonna die so much. Everything's gonna hit me. I can't dodge anything. Ah, I should have done that. Fuck, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I upgrade the Gorgon? I definitely should have. Fuck. I thought I already had it upgraded.
What's this? A real talent. You'll find it when
Whoa, man! So the little fucking degen circles do insane damage when you're an Abyssus character. I can't, like, come close to attacking him when those are down. Woo! What is the fucking point, dude? I fucking agree. Man, that burst, that deeps is not good enough. Okay, so I can't take more than one of those. Whoa, big lag spike. No! Okay, so we just have to be ready to dash out of there. Ah! Yeah. True. Oh god. I don't know when to use flasks and shit, man. That's not fair. Is it? Like creating those geysers on the ground that I can't really play around because I'm so fucking melee. If they're positioned badly, I'm like really screwed. Things are about to get incredibly uncomfortable. Right? I'm I doing this correctly? I don't even know, man. Fuck, dude. Where is he? Okay, so he's over there. Oh my god, I just wasted my flasks because I was like so ready to get a bit of DPS in. This is gonna take fucking 40 minutes. I can essentially never attack him. Hey, check out Deeps! I'm going in! I wanna go home. Which one is he? Oh my fucking god, dude. This is gonna take infinity years. Okay, got some good deeps in. I think we crit him once. I can respect a crit. Never flasks. Oh, can we attack him during this phase? I've never tried. I guess, if we can be near him. No. 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 Mate, Warcry nodes are the absolute MVP. I get so much extra heal because of them. Essentially ran out of flasks 20 minutes ago, but I've still got a life flask. And it's never going away. No! I had that! Flask reset hype. I fucked it up, basically. Like, yeah, it's a fight that I can just run around in circles for, like, infinity until I mess it up. And then I messed it up because I didn't dodge that one very well at all. Whoa, that's pretty unfair, mate. Okay, so I don't know when to press my flasks, man. Soon? Nope, not allowed. Oh, actually, yeah, maybe now. Didn't get much out of that flask use at all. Okay. Okay. Didn't we just go through one of these phases for fuck's sake? That could have been deathless, man. Yeah. Fucking hell. That is some uppercuts. That is so melee, it's unbelievable. Basically never get to do anything. 35-minute update video incoming. Yeah, that's gonna be a long one. What do we get? 20% pack size. Fucking kidding me? The Chaddest kill on the fucking server, and I got an alchemy orb, and pretty much nothing. Fuck, dude. Fuck. Fuck! That's not fair. 3% XP saved! Whoop. Time to level.